Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our special county council meeting. Today is Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025, and I would like to call this meeting to order at 9:33. We will start with our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge Athabasca County is located on First Nations Treaty 6 and Treaty 8 traditional territory. We respect and honor all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples' connection to these lands, their history, language, and culture. Being that we don't have all of council with us today, Councillor Gerlach gives his regrets, as well as Councillor Wallach and Councillor Kapitaniuk also give their regrets. I believe Councillor Cromwell is joining us via Zoom. And so if I could get a motion for the approval of the agenda, please. Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Would like to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor? And I see Councillor Cromwell.
Aye.
Thank you. So I see no opposed. Thank you so much. We will begin our public hearing, which is 3.1 of our agenda. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending the public hearing regarding Bylaw 015, 2025, the Skeleton Lake Estates Area Structure Plan, and Bylaw 016, 2025, Land Use Bylaw Amendment for part of Northwest 136519 west of the 4th. I'm Tracy Holland, Reeve for Athabasca County and Division 5 Councillor, and I will be the chair for the meeting or for the hearing. On behalf of council, I would like to welcome you all here today. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment for introductions of those councillors present. So beginning on my right.
Good morning. Welcome, Rob Mintz, Division 8, Baptiste Lake, Island Lake area.
Kelly Chanzik, Division 7, Grassland, Atmore, Crossfeeda areas.
Brian Hall, I reside in Division 4.
Good morning, Ashton Anderson. I reside in Division 3, which is the Boyle area.
Thank you. And Councillor Cromwell.
Good morning, Gary Cromwell, Division 6, the far north, up to and including Wandering River. Thank you all for coming today. Thank
you so much. The secretary of the public hearing is Bob Beck, who is the CAO for Athabasca County. Also joining us from administration is our recording secretary, Leah Blair, our communications manager, Jordan Schenkelberg. We have the Director of Community and Protective Services, Krista Wilkinson, and we also have our land management specialist, Diane Cloutier. Any persons who have joined the meeting in person or via Zoom and wish to be heard, please give your full name now. Don't see anyone that's wishing.
Chuck.
Sorry, go ahead, please, Steve.
Yeah, Steve Pertula. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay there. I'm a counselor representing Summer Village of Moatha Beach. Thanks for having me here today.
Okay, thank you. And is there anyone else via Zoom that would like to speak?
Hi, I'm Paul Turchuk, a resident in the Harnaha area just east of the proposed subdivision.
Awesome, thank you for being here. The public hearing for Bylaw 015, 2025 and 016, 2025 is now open. I will now turn the floor over to Secretary Bob Beck to announce the purpose of the hearing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The purpose of this public hearing is for Athabasca County Council to hear testimony from interested parties. It is not meant to be a debate between presenters, and all comments must be directed to council through the chair. Only one person may speak at a time, and each person wishing to provide input to council will have the opportunity to do so. The rules of the hearing and the order of speaking will be: Land Management Specialist Diane Cloutier will speak first to outline the background and provide an explanation of the bylaws. Members of the public who are wishing to be heard will be given the opportunity to speak. Ms. Cloutier will be given the opportunity to present closing remarks or address any of the issues presented. Councillors will be given the opportunity to ask questions. Council will then end the public hearing and will later consider the information received at the public hearing. Council will only consider matters raised at the hearing. Only counselors may ask questions of speakers during the hearing. If any persons want to ask questions of a speaker, they must ask the chair to ask the question on their behalf during their presentation, and the chair will only ask the question if the chair wishes to have an answer in order to undertake its consideration.
Thank you, CAO Beck. Before hearing from the public, I would ask Ms. Cloutier to provide background and explanation of the proposed bylaw, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council. Council granted first reading on July 31st to both bylaw 015-2025 being the Skeleton Lake Estates Area Structure Plan, and to bylaw 016-2025 being the Land Use Bylaw Amendment for part of Northwest 1365-19 west of the 4th to redistrict from the Agricultural District to the Country Residential District. The parcel is located on the west side of Skeleton Lake, approximately 6.8 kilometers northeast of the village of Boyle. Part of Northwest 1365-19 is developed with 20 country residential lots and one 18-acre municipal reserve lot. The proposal will create 47 new country residential lots and dedicating a portion of land as environmental reserve and as environmental reserve easement. Access to Northwest 1365-19 is from Township Road 653 connecting to Radman Drive. A draft area structure plan was prepared and reviewed by administration, and an open house was held on June 18th at the Boyle Community Hall, where residents were provided information on the proposed area structure plan. There were many who attended the open house and provided feedback. Most attendees at the open house were not in favor of the proposed area structure plan. Letters providing information on today's public hearing were mailed to adjacent landowners on August 14th. A total of 92 letters were mailed. The notice of today's public hearing was advertised in the August 18th and August 26th edition of the Town and Country This Week Athabasca Advocate newspaper. And notice was placed on the county's website starting the week of August 18th and included links to the area structure plan and the technical reports. A public hearing is required under Section 216 and Section 692 of the Municipal Government Act. It provides an opportunity for council to hear comments on the proposed area structure plan and land use by amendment made by person, group, or anyone representing them who claims to be affected by the proposed bylaw.
Thank you, Ms. Cloutier. Does council have any questions or points of clarification they wish to ask Ms. Cloutier? I see we also have Councillor Kapitanic who has joined us via Zoom. Councillor Kapitanic, Councillor Cromwell, do either of you have any questions or points of clarification? All right. Ms. Cloutier, are there any written materials that have been submitted?
Madam Chair, members of council, all submissions received prior to the deadline have been placed in a register and distributed to council, as well as added to today's council agenda online. Administration is requesting that the submitted letters be part of the record.
Thank you very much. Before I call upon those wishing to speak, there are a few housekeeping items that I'll mention. Please direct your presentation to the chair and limit your presentation to 5 minutes in duration. When presenters that are in person are ready to speak, please turn the microphone on at the front here. You'll have a chair there for you to sit. By pressing, there's a large button at the base of the microphone. You will see that a red light will appear, and that means that you are live, and that gives the opportunity for everyone online to be able to hear you. Those who would like to make a presentation in support of bylaw 015-2025 and 016-2025 will go first. Those who would like to make a presentation in opposition of the bylaws will go second. Before those wishing to speak, please state your name for the record. And I will ask for those wishing to speak in opposition before you begin to come forward. No one in? Yep. Oh, pardon me. Thank you for in favor. I jumped ahead one. Do we have any? Okay, thank you so much. Please come to the microphone. We will ask those as well at Zoom after you are complete.
Yes, good morning, Madam Reeve and members of council. My name is Ryan Eidick. I'm the director of Vines Consulting. So we are the applicants for this area structure plan on behalf of the landowner, who's represented here by Mr. Bierogel sitting over there. So between the two of us, we can hopefully answer any questions that you might have about the proposal. The area structure plan is within a quarter section of land on the north side of Skeleton Lake that was previously approved for subdivision nearly 20 years ago. 2007 and 2011, this quarter section was subdivided previously, primarily for seasonal residential lots on about half of the quarter section. At the time, it included 21 lots, nearly 19 acres of municipal reserve and 4.5 acres of environmental reserve. The original subdivision plan doesn't reflect the current situation. Some of the lots have consolidated or subdivided further, and then the land ownership changed. So there were some decisions to be made about what to do with the remaining lands. So the decision was either to sell the lands to potentially another developer that could build, anything from campgrounds to other residential developments, that type of thing, or develop it themselves. The landowners own a lot on the south side of Radman Drive, so the decision was made to, because they had vested interest in it, to proceed with the development themselves so they can control it a little bit better. They originally proposed approached the county about development of these lands back in 2023, and we were officially hired in 2024. Before we began conceptual design, we worked with the landowner on hiring some sub-consultants. So the lands were studied through a biophysical assessment, which studied wildlife patterns, wetlands, sensitive environmental areas, the lake itself in certain capacities. There was also a geotechnical assessment to determine if the ground could handle a proposed development as well. There was also a groundwater assessment that was done to determine any impact on underground aquifers if water wells were proposed and that type of thing. Once we received those parameters from those sub-consultants, we began to create a land use concept and initiated that and iterated that with the help of transportation engineers and civil engineers on stormwater and transportation components of the plan as well. As mentioned, we made an application to the county back in May. Officially, we held an open house in June, which was very well attended, and we're excited to present the final version of you today. So the plan is to develop 47 residential lots ranging between 1 acre and 2.3 acres in size, preserving just over 17 acres of wetlands through environmental reserve, as well as a 30-meter buffer adjacent to Skeleton Lake in the southwest corner. Every lot is proposed to be serviced using a cistern or holding tank, so a pump and haul method, which is very common in the area already. Environmental reserve, which is best illustrated on page 34 of your package. That follows wetland boundaries, as well as a 30-meter buffer that was recommended through the biophysical assessment. The wetlands will be protected in two ways. One, through physical or actual dedication of environmental reserve lands. That's in the southwest corner of the plan area. In the central part of the plan area, there will be environmental reserve easements that will be registered on the title of all those lots in the central portion of the area. So regardless, no clearing or development of any kind can happen in either of these two areas. And then, as mentioned, there's also a 30-meter environmental reserve buffer on the south side, southwest corner from Skeleton Lake. On page 37 of your package, we have our proposed phasing plan. So phase 1 is proposed to utilize the existing Radman Drive that already exists in the middle of the development area. So it includes lots, 14 lots ranging between 1 and 1.5 acres in size. Phase 2 will have larger lots, so between 1.5 and 2.3 acres generally. So this is to keep consistent with existing lots on the south side of Radman Drive already. And they're also located, or the larger lots and deeper lots are located on the north side of that road to provide additional buffering between proposed development and those residents already on Ovich Lane. Phase 3 is proposed and will include lots between 1 and 1.3 acres in size, as well as a potential emergency access on the west side of the parcel. The plan for stormwater management, that's best seen on page 36 of your package. It'll be managed in 2 basins. So phases 1 and 2 of the proposed development will utilize existing ditches on Radman Drive to convey stormwater to either a new outfall on Skeleton Lake or utilizing the existing one if it's determined that it can handle the capacity. And if any upgrades are required to that outfall, it'll be required to take care of that through Water Act applications, municipal applications, as well as at the developer's cost. Phase 3 of development is proposed to have its own outfall that goes directly to Skeleton Lake, and all outfalls require study and approvals through applications to all level of government, and that's summarized in the biophysical assessment in section 8, which is on page, I think, 102 of your package. We've also included ASP policy, so that's on page 23, that requires conformance to these recommendations from the biologists. As mentioned, an open house was advertised and was held on June 18th. We advertised in a number of ways on the county website, sending out letters to 91 landowners in the area, the local newspaper. It was well attended. We received lots of feedback. It should be noted that more than half of the attendees at the open house were from the summer villages of Bondus and Mawatha Beach, which we were not prepared for. We didn't engage with them directly. They found out and they came, which is perfectly fine, but we were not prepared for that level of feedback from them. And broadly, their concerns, which I'm sure you'll hear about shortly, expressed concerns about just general development and the lake itself, rather than anything specific to our development. We did get some feedback from residents closer by in the Harnaha area and within the subdivisions already, and we've incorporated that as much as possible, and we've summarized how we've addressed those starting on page 180 of your package. And then lastly, I'm not sure how I'm doing for time. I'm probably pretty close. Yeah, so I'm happy to answer any questions. We see that administration has a couple of recommendations. We're just asking that council approve the ASP in its current form and directs us to continue working with your administration. We've already made progress on some of those recommendations. But yeah, with that, happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. Does council have any questions or points of clarification from our presenter? Go ahead, please, Councillor Anderson.
Thank you through the chair to the speaker. You mentioned that there's a potential emergency access in phase 3. How are you planning on incorporating that potential emergency access? Would it be an entire lot that's maintained for that, or would it be by caveat?
Through the chair to Councillor Anderson. So I think that would be up to discussions with your administration. We had proposed a separate public utility lot that would be completely separate. However, we're okay with easements or any kind of configuration that administration sees fit, but we had kind of thought it would be its own lot.
Okay, thank you. Does any other councillor have any questions or points of clarification? Go ahead, please, Councillor Hall.
Good morning. So you've made reference to environmental easements, environmental reserves. Who's responsible for the maintenance and enforcement of the rules related to those easements?
Yeah, through the reef to Councillor Hall. So environmental reserve is typically the jurisdiction of the province. So if there's any issues, typically a member of Alberta Parks and Protected Areas, I can't remember the name of the department, but they would enforce it. And it's a complaint-based system from my understanding.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Mins.
Yeah, good morning. So there's no proposed access or anything to the lake regarding this subdivision, right?
Through the chair to Councillor Mins, no, there's a 30-meter buffer on the south side that would be the closest that any lots would come. All other lots are internal to the area, so there's no direct access to the lake.
Okay, thank you.
Please go ahead, Councillor Hall.
Sorry. Can you just share with us the purpose of the country residential zoning on that small high ridge closest to the lake, given the limited access?
Yeah, through the chair again to Councillor Hall. So yeah, in the biophysical assessment, these lands were not determined. They were located outside of any sensitive areas. So we had met with the province and through the landowner and decided that, you know, if they are able to be utilized as portions of the lots that are a little bit further north, just for private use, they're not large enough for any development to exist on them. So they would be purely for, you know, private use. It's hard to say how people would use them, but they're not very large and they're portions of the lots that are further north on the existing bulb. And then access would have to be private, and that would come through the drainage channel that goes through the center of that one environmental reserve area.
Is there a follow-up or anything further? Okay, Councillor Cromwell or Councillor Kapitaniak, do you have any questions or points of clarification?
Thank you. No.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you.
I didn't catch that, but I'm thinking that's a no. Okay.
No,
very-
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Kapitaniak. Thank you very much. I don't believe there's any further questions. I know my question was already answered, so I appreciate your time. Thank you so very much. Is there any other person that would like to speak in favor of these bylaws? Okay, anyone on Zoom would wish to speak in favor of? All right, thank you so very much. I will now call on the first speaker who is in opposition of bylaws 15/2025 and 16/2025. Is there anyone in the room who would like to speak in opposition? I see a hand up over there. If you could please come forward and state your name for the record. Perfect. Thank you.
All right. My name is Wayne German. I'm a cottage owner in Harnahan. I have no expertise in matters like this, no knowledge that I could bring. But when we bought our cottage, I didn't expect that I'd be coming to public meetings on a regular basis to try and defend the land and the lake. And here we are again. Like, it's disappointing that this continues. And I'm not seeing anywhere a stop sign. So in other words, we go through this exercise and what's going to come tomorrow and after that? Like, when will there be a point in time when we say, hey, enough's enough. The lake can't take anymore. Now, I know council or county doesn't have responsibility for the lake, but the lake is the provider. You draw tax revenue by people coming and buying lots, and those lots provide you with tax dollars. The lake provides that. So you may not be responsible for the lake, but you should have some reason to want to see the lake survive. And you hear more and more from letters from people and from conversations that the lake actually has been at peak since the 1970s. And since then, it continues and continues and continues. At some point in time, you're going to break it. And then where do the lot owners go? Where do you go? Trying to revive a lake is a lot harder than just to protect it. I have some questions, and I'm sure other people do. And I read some of these letters, and there's some great expertise that I hope does not get ignored. But my first question is, and I ran across something, I don't even know if I'm on the right track, but I found a bylaw. It's at 5/2002. And what it dealt with, it focused on 3 parcels of land. The one that's being asked to be subdivided was one of them. And in that bylaw, it said that they could not add any more than 10 lots per section of land. And I don't know whether this bylaw is still in effect, but if it is, then we're at a point here where we're being asked to add 47 lots and something that was already designated to only have 10. I don't have an answer. I would expect council or planning would come up with an answer for that. If the bylaw is not in effect, then doesn't matter, does it? I learned a long time ago that perception is reality. And unfortunately, right now, the perception is that the county of Athabasca does not want to listen. The reason I say that is you picked a Wednesday, 2 days after the last long weekend of the summer, 2 days after cottage owners all head home, where they have to go back to work and definitely have to put kids back in school. the ability for people to be here on this day is minimal at best. You really have to struggle and try and rearrange things, come here for a 9:30 meeting. And so the perception is, from me, is that the county doesn't want to listen to the lot owners that are currently in place. And that's a crime, because the people that are living here and paying taxes are the ones that truly understand what's going on. And we know that the lake is suffering, not always by individuals, but nature steps in too. And during all the studies that were done, I don't see anywhere that talks about the amount of rainfall that we've been getting over the last several years. I don't see anything that talks about wind. I know I mentioned in my letter that wind gusts are getting stronger because the environment is changing. And a lot of people, me included, talk about the risk of fire. I don't think people realize how fast a wildfire can move when it's pushed by 40 and 50-kilometer-mile wind. And we have one road in and out. And I think somebody mentioned in one of these letters I quickly read that the big source of potentially source of fires is actually between a lot of us and the route out. So we really are looking at a bottleneck that hopefully we'll never have to deal with, but it's a reality. The study on traffic had nothing to do with cars and trucks. The fact that we don't need streetlights on the two intersections, my 9-year-old granddaughter could have told you that. What we're concerned about, and the developer even says it, the lots are land-bound. They're not water access. So what does that mean? Why would I buy a lot in the middle of a field and I can't get to the water? The alternative to that would be I'd go to the toys. I go to dirt bikes, I go to quads, I go to go-karts, I go to anything that I couldn't ride in the city. And right now, we have a situation where with our lot on a weekend, on a given weekend day, we probably have 40 to 50 quads go past our front. Some of them following the speed limit, a bunch not. So if we're going to,
I'm so sorry. We're at the 5-minute mark, but if you would like to summarize or
to wrap up,
if you don't mind, please.
there's a ton of questions that haven't been answered. And I think,
No, I'm sorry.
I think that there needs to be more done. You need to start answering questions. One of the letters talks about, the access to the lake and the green area. You need to have answers to that. Can't just say, we're done.
If you don't mind, if you mind, remain seated, in case we have any questions, if council would like to ask any questions, and I thank you for your presentation. Does council have any questions or points of clarification for the presenter? Councillor Cromwell or Councillor Kapitaniak, do you have any questions for our presenter? Points of clarification?
Thank you. No.
I don't believe Councillor Kapitaniak does either, so.
No,
thank you
I
again.
don't. Sorry, it's hard to get to the mute button on my phone.
There we go. I appreciate that. Thank you so
But if I
much.
do, I'll put my hand up, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Hall, did you have a question? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Do we have a second person for, okay, I see a hand up back there. If you'd like to please come forward. Thank you so much. Your microphone is there. Yeah, and you just press the button in the center on the bottom. Yep, there we go. We can be able to hear you. If you could please state your name.
Good morning, Tracy.
Good morning.
My name is Rick Tiedemann. Yeah, and I'm a county ratepayer out at Skeleton Lake.
Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, good. I've had the wonderful fortune of being out at Skeleton Lake for 66 years. My mom and dad bought the second property on the lake over 78 years ago. And I have spent the last 20 years intimately involved with studying the lake, its watershed, and coordinating research that has brought clarity to the modifiable and non-modifiable impacts on this novel aquatic ecosystem. As predicted 15 years ago by Dr. DeVito, who is a recognized limnologist at the University of Alberta, we have witnessed a dramatic decline in the lake's water quality. It started a number of years ago in the North Basin and is now well established in the South Basin. As a result, I'm here to ask the council to not approve this proposed land use change. And here are some facts that you need to be aware of. Skeleton Lake is already overdeveloped relative to almost all other lakes in the province. A common measure of development around a lake is the number of developed lots or approved campsites per hectare of lake surface area. Back in 2008, the Alberta lake with the highest development density was Pigeon Lake, and it was at over 2 lots or campsites per hectare of surface area of the lake. And it has had serious water quality issues for many, many years. Buck Lake, for example, is at 1.0. Skeleton Lake currently is sitting around 1.7. So we're very close to that 2 threshold, which gives you a damaged lake. Research data shows that lakes have a maximum biophysical capacity to maintain ecological health, and insults beyond this threshold create amplified declines in the health of the water body. The history of development at Skeleton Lake is as follows. In 1978, there were 479 registered lots on the lake, and due to the small size of the lake, it was placed under the jurisdiction of the Regulated Lake Shoreland Development Operations, and a moratorium was placed on the development pending a review and the development of a proper area management plan. In 1980, a Skeleton Lake area structure plan was completed with input from the county and the summer villages, and in 1984 and 88, this plan was reviewed. The competing interests of the county and concerned Skeleton Lake landowners resulted in an agreement that further development would only happen if the biophysical capabilities of the lake could support it. The committee proposed that no more than 40 additional lots could be developed if the area plan was to truly factor in the biophysical health of the lake. Regrettably, this recommendation has been ignored, such that in 1989, there was now 513 registered lots, and in 2008, that number had ballooned to 1,044. Today, we are now at over 1,200 lots and campsites. For comparison, in 1989, Abbotsford Lake had 117. North Buck had 211, and Baptiste, Rob, had around 800. It is not just the density of development, but the intensity of the land use that has grown dramatically, the land and the water use with all the extra boats. Skeleton Lake is losing the battle to stay healthy with the current level of development, and any additional development will simply make the problem worse. A document created in 1985 by Alberta Environment Water Control Branch clearly outlined the impact of development that is on or proximal to a lake. They studied 9 lakes, with Skeleton Lake being one of them. In the Skeleton Lake portion of the document, it states that Skeleton Lake's drainage area is fairly small compared with its volume of water. This small ratio, a 4-to-1 ratio, if alone considered, suggests that the lake should have quite good water quality since there is only a small area of land contributing nutrients. They then go on to say, however, cottage and agricultural development is extensive. Now remember, this is 1985. So it's extensive around Skeleton Lake, and because of this, the movement of nutrients towards the lake is higher. The reason why this is such a vital information is that cleared land can contribute 5 times more phosphates than an equal amount of land that is forested. And phosphorus is one of the main drivers behind eutrophication, which is the greening of a lake. Also, with such a small watershed, we can't afford any more disruptions to its natural functionality. More development will therefore decrease the already poor water quality and make future recovery more unlikely. The other thing I talked about was intensity in the boat use on there. There is days when, and I'm a boater, and I love being on the lake, and so do my grandkids, et cetera, like that. There's days where we will not go on the lake because it's just too busy. There's too many bloody boats going on out there. So we're seeing this intensity as well. One of the big concerns we have is the type of new watercraft that is being seen on our lake and many lakes around the province. Whereas the more seasoned lake owners and stuff that are switching to pontoon boats, the new cottage owners are buying wake surfer boats. And so these boats uniquely cause significant lake bottom disruptions and shoreline erosion because the shock waves of the boats the propeller thrust of the boats that goes down 20, 25 feet, that and the shoreline disruption is taking place. And so there's no question that if we're going to get all these developments, we're going to get a lot more boats, and a good percentage of them will be these wake surfer boats. The science is clear that wake surfing boats are harmful to shallower lakes, and more development with new landowners will result in more boating pressures and more wake surfing boats, and this will amplify the eutrophication process. In the proposal documents that have been submitted, I noticed a number of wetlands were being sacrificed for this development. Water does not simply move over land, it also moves through land. Wetlands provide ecosystems with a vital filtering system and a point of access for water to enter the land. While some of these individual wetland sites are smaller, the aggregate loss of these wetlands will have a negative impact on the functionality of our already compromised watershed.
As a point of order, Madam Chair, we've departed from 8.7 of your bylaw.
Thank you. We're running my stopwatch is at 5:15.
Let me wrap it up then.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Thanks very much. So in summary then, any new development will push the lake further beyond its biophysical ability to maintain a healthy ecological balance. This was previously established as a key threshold to be used in deciding on future developments. The development will result in an enhanced release of phosphates and make an already bad eutrophication process worse. The increased boat traffic and shoreline activity will stir up the lake bottom and further disrupt sensitive spawning areas. Adding to this is that a deteriorating lake will lead to landowner uncertainty, which leads to reduced investment on their properties, which leads to a slowdown of economic activity for local communities. None of this is good. But at the end of the day, it's not about money. It's about saying enough is enough for all the right reasons and recognizing that additional development will cause serious and predictable additional harm to the lake. Our generation and you as civic leaders have a responsibility to protect and preserve the few good lakes that are in this county and in this province. And yes, that means foregoing some tax revenue. Joy, harmony, legacy, and responsibility is not tied to money. For the sake of the lake, I'm asking you to be part of the solution for a healthier future.
We are well.
Please do not approve this rezoning.
Thank you. Please stay seated for
Yep.
anyone who may have questions or points of clarification around council.
I have a couple questions. I'm wondering, Mr. Tiedemann, if you'd share with us where the development is concentrated at the lake?
Where the development is concentrated? Yeah, it's concentrated predominantly in the South Basin, Brian.
Okay.
I mean, there is developments in the North Basin as well. But for the sake of this right now, when I worked with Alberta Lake Management Society, they almost see the lake as two separate lakes, given the current lake levels.
And can you just share with us, since we've gone over time, how many letters you've sent to Summer Villages and other neighbors encouraging changes to boating regulations to start with? And then secondly, can you share with us whether you oppose all developments at the lake in other municipalities as well?
No, and so I do not send letters. I'm not that kind of guy. And so that, the letter that I have submitted to you, my wife did post it on Facebooks, so that people could kind of look at it. We are at the point, Brian, where we're concerned. I am not anti-development. I'm anti-excessive development. In fact, last year I spoke to this council with respect to the Boy Scout camp rezoning, et cetera, like that. And I was the only one that spoke in favor of it and whatnot. And so I think it's called nuanced decision-making, Brian, that we need to look at the totality of the impact of a development. And we also need to look at kind of what's happening in the lake. Interesting that you may not know this, Brian. We have fought to try to get that lake to recover for many, many years, and we haven't had a lot of support, particularly from the provincial government. And the lake has been collapsed from a fisheries perspective. So rather than help the lake get healthy, guess what the province did? It stocked the lake with 372,000 walleye fingerlings last year. What that did is it really upset the ecological balance and what's called a trophic cycle in the lake, Brian. And so that combined with all the development has caused an accelerated eutrophication of the lake. I've been there for 66 years, Brian. There's days when we would not let our grandkids go in the lake this year. The blue-green algae is so significant and it's more abundant and it's more persistent, Brian. Where even when we measure the levels of chemicals and cyanobacteria in the lake, typically what you see is the cyanobacteria levels decrease in the fall and die out in the winter, and then the cycle starts again. The last number of years when we've done the monitoring of the cyanobacteria in the wintertime, We're picking up really high cyanobacteria levels in the wintertime, which is unbloody believable. So it means in the spring, you're starting at an artificially high level compared to what you would naturally see there, and then it just gets a lot worse. And Dr. DeVito, again, a world-renowned limnologist at the university, said that if you guys don't get a hold on your, or handle on your modifiable factors, this lake will become a slough. And if you look at the Alberta Lake Management Society data for the North Basin and see how bad it is, and now it's coming into the South Basin right now, we have to protect this lake, Brian. We got to stop what we're doing out there right now. It is way beyond its biophysical capacity to heal itself. It needs our help.
Thank you. Any follow-up, Councillor Hall? Yes, please. Yeah, we have to maintain decorum. If we can hold applause, please. Any follow-up? Thank you. Councillor Cromwell, Councillor Capitani, do you have any follow-up questions or points of clarification?
No, as with Councillor Capitanic, I will raise my hand if I do.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so very much. Does anyone else have any further? Okay, thank you so very much for your presentation.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Tracy.
it. Thank you.
Thanks, councillors.
Do we have any other speakers who would wish to present in opposition in the room? Okay, on Zoom, do we have anyone who would like to speak in opposition of the bylaws?
I can go next, Madam Chair, if that's okay.
Thank you very much. Please go ahead. Please state your name as well for the record before you begin.
Yeah, so my name is Steve Pertula. I'm a newly elected councillor for Summer Village of Moatha Beach, currently serving as deputy mayor. So I really did just want to speak here today. This probably won't take 5 minutes because I think Mr. Tiedemann really summed up how most of the people around the lake are feeling. But during my campaigning in Moatha Beach, the first thing people ask me is, what's my stance on the development? What's your take on the development that's going to be proposed? It was the number one thing that got brought up, and everyone's concerned about it. And their concerns lie with the reality of the lake. It is just not healthy anymore. As Mr. Tiedemann said, there's days where you can't even use it because the water quality is degraded so much. The one thing I do want to point out is with the Ennis survey, there's some very good information in there. It was actually a very good document they put together. And I just want to make a point that the buffers and the reserves that they point out will be in place to prevent lake access and things like that. Us in Moatha deal with the reserves that are very similarly set up. And what we see is those reserves are very commonly abused and used by people that shouldn't be on them. Docks are put in place when they shouldn't be, which means more boats, more dirt bikes, more quads, more traffic. It's good to have a plan in place, but the reality is there's no enforcement of that plan. And the fear of the public, especially in Moatha Beach, as I represent those people now, is that the lake is going to continue to degrade. It's something that it's sad. I've been on the lake personally for 37 years, and I've seen so much change that it really is sad to see it. So I just want to speak here today to let you know, I've heard firsthand from the people in Moatha Beach, they are opposed to this development. And, you know, it's one of the councillors asked about, are you opposed to all development? No, I wouldn't say it's a brushstroke for all development, but the people around the lake are pro-lake. And when you see the lake degrading at the rate it is, there's not going to be nothing left to develop around it. So you have to ask yourself, what are we doing here? So I really ask the county to look very carefully at the health of the lake. And I'll just leave you kind of just with one quote you might have heard. If we don't learn from history, we are bound to repeat it. We have Gull Lake, Pigeon Lake, and many other lakes around Alberta that have gone through similar type development cycles, and those lakes are ruined. The county has a real opportunity here to keep Skeleton Lake a beautiful part of the county. And me personally ask the county of Athabasca to do something to keep it that way, and so do the people of Moatha Beach. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak. And I just want to say thank you to Brianna Zielinski and Deanne Cluche for getting me set up here to speak today. Very fast responses, very professional, so thank you for that. And please listen to the people. I hope you you folks will make the right decisions here going forward.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Does anyone from council have any points of clarification or questions they have of our presenter? No. I don't see any other hands up on Zoom I do have one question. Has the Summer Village had an opportunity to work with the province and the federal government for impact assessments or any other type of environmental assessments?
I believe in the past they have reached out to them. Going forward here, the current council will be drafting letters to the Alberta Minister and to the local MLA in opposition to this. Again, we're a voice for the people, right? We're hearing it from our constituents, so we have to bring that forward, and we're going to do whatever we can to maintain the health of the lake.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Oh, Councillor Anderson has a question for you.
Thank you. When it comes to, again, the impacts of the health of the lake, is the Summer Village Council considering possibly a collaborative approach to advocating for lake health, where we possibly could use a partnership grant between Summer Village and county to look at different impacts and different measures that could be put in place to improve lake health?
That's a very good question. Thanks for bringing it up. In our first council meeting last month, we did discuss bringing a unified front with Bondus forward and the other villages and other constituents around the lake to the county of Athabasca, because I agree that it seems like a lot of the villages or areas around the lake are kind of their own entities, but we all have the lake and it's in our best interest, right? So we should be more united in that front, and that's definitely something we are discussing, yes.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I don't believe there's any other questions or points of clarification. Don't see anything else. Thank you again for your
Thank you.
time this morning. I will go down the list again. Is there anyone else on Zoom who would like to speak in opposition?
Hello, yes, I can speak now if that's all right.
Thank you. Please go ahead, state your name for the record before you begin.
Name is Paul Turchuk.
Thank you.
So I guess the previous speakers had mentioned a lot of the points that I was going to talk about. But I did want to mention with regards to the studies done by the developer, I guess I'm a little surprised that there isn't a process for the county to hire people to do their own studies at the cost of the developer rather than having the developer hire a study. There's an obvious conflict of interest there. I'm sure I can hire firms to do studies that'll give very different information. And I found that the study was extremely narrow-minded, focusing exclusively on that quarter, the underdeveloped parts of that quarter, rather than the overall impact to the lake and area. Now, I realize maybe that's the requirement from them, but that should be looked at as well. For example, the traffic study was done in the middle of January, and then there was some formulas used to calculate the impact throughout the year. But in all honesty, I mean, that's kind of a joke to be doing a study on the traffic impact mid-January. It's funny because just a few months later, before I believe it was a Canada Day long weekend, when it rained, we lost a motorhome in the ditch that had to get pulled out. So when the study says that there's no significant impact, and we see the reality of it, it's a little bit alarming. On a long weekend when it's dry, you have zero visibility coming in and out, and when it's wet, like I said, a small motorhome actually went into the ditch, couldn't actually get into Harnaha on the main roads, far away from the actual residential areas. So we have the trails are impassable around the area. I think there's been a lot of talk about the boating. And I know the developer says there's no direct access to the lake, but if you walk up and down the lake, there's people make access for their docks and they bring in boats. And there's most long weekends, especially, but other nice weekends, we don't even bother taking the kids on the lake or tubing because you can't. It's a safety issue. The increase in people around the lake puts a pressure on hunting, on recreational use. In fact, one of the people in Harnaha area there was an incident just a few miles north, where they actually had, bullets fired their way. It just goes to represent the overall need to look at the bigger picture rather than just that quarter. And I guess we count on the county to help us with that. And at this point, we're, as the residents, we feel that the county just doesn't have the capacity to listen to us or to represent our needs. You know, we're existing residents, and we pay taxes, and we care about the land and how it's used. And it's getting very frustrating to see that we're not being represented. I know there's a balance of it's not that we're opposed to any type of development. There's a balance to developing land, creating income revenues, both for the county and for the village of Boyle. But there's also the other end of it. So we are strongly opposed to it. Myself and pretty much all the residents I've spoke to in our area, and we ask that the county take into account various studies that have suggested there should be no more development in the immediate area of the lake. It's not like you guys don't have studies showing that or asking you, which you've obviously haven't taken into account over the last 30 years. And we would love to see the province and potentially federal government, as different levels of government are responsible for different areas of the lake, the land, the shore, within a certain distance of the shore, and of course, the larger body of water. Do some studies and develop a plan or develop a law that just absolutely stops this from happening in the future, because this is just an ongoing issue every single year. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. Does council have any points of clarification or questions they have for our presenter? And I don't see anything on Zoom as well. So thank you very much for your time and your presentation this morning. I will double check in the room as well. Is there anyone else who has not spoken and wishes to speak? I see a hand up in the back. If you'd like to come forward, please. Good morning. Could please state your name for the record before you
It's
begin?
Terry Mudrick,
Thank you. Please go ahead.
and I live at Paradise Valley in North Skelton Lake. And the one thing that I wanted to say that is over and above what everyone has already spoke about, and of course is a concern to all of our area residents as well. And the one thing would be is our boat launch is as well as Pickerel Point's boat launches. So both of the boat launches, we're seeing people coming out of Teepee Lake with their boats. So it's not just that we represent our own lake structure, but we're seeing that developments that are on other developing areas, as Teepee Lake, for example, come, same with Hope Lake. You guys have campsites there. We see people coming from there to bring their bigger boats and use Skelton Lake as their lake district, which I think has got to be stopped as well. And I think that's also something you can look at, is not just the impact of our own residents and future developments, but also those that are developments over and above our own that are accessing and using the lake with these huge boats. Because Hope Lake is not allowed to have big boats. And I think Skelton Lake, if that doesn't happen pretty quick, we're going to end up being a slough, like has been mentioned. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Before you disappear, is there any questions or points of clarification that council has for our presenter? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you. And we'll give it one last opportunity for anyone else who wishes to speak who has not spoken. All right. Does council have any questions or points of clarification for our applicant or our land manager? Ms. Cloutier, do you have any closing comments?
Not at this time, Madam Chair. It was council.
Thank you. Does the applicant have any closing comments that they would like to make? Okay, thank you. So at this time, council does not have any questions of any speaker or of the staff, I'm assuming. Does anyone feel that they have not been fairly heard? Sorry, once again, does anyone feel that they have not been fairly heard? All right.
Yes.
I just
Oh,
didn't have time to bring it up. Getting back.
yeah, if you would please come to the microphone. Thank you so much. We have to make sure our folks on Zoom can hear what you're saying.
As I said, 5 minutes is just not enough time. But the only point I want to make is, and I mentioned the meeting schedule. I don't know who scheduled it, whether it's developer, council, individual, but the meeting could not be held at a most inappropriate time. And the lack of
As a
people
point
here,
of
the
order,
lack
this
of
is about
comments.
clarification of points, not adding new points. I'm sorry, Wayne. I know
Sorry,
that
I'm just saying that
it's about adding a point of clarification or a follow-up, but it's not about taking in new information.
how about
We
follow-up?
we did all clearly hear
Would follow-up work?
that you don't like the time of the meeting.
Okay, please, this is not meant to be a debate. I'm so sorry. If you could please just, if you do not feel like you've been fairly heard, please go ahead in anything that you.
Okay, I just wanted to comment that the numbers here are reflective of the meeting time. People just can't be here. And so you're not getting a true picture. You're not seeing you're not hearing the voice that's out there. I guess that's the only comment I want to make.
I appreciate that. And I just do want to say, we really appreciate the letters that have come forward and the emails that we have also received. And so I do feel that we definitely are hearing from the public in this matter. So thank you. I do appreciate your time.
All right.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I believe, oh, we have one more up there. If you'd like to please come forward, Rick.
Thank you for the opportunity, Tracy.
Yep.
Just wanted to add
One more, wait, you have to turn your microphone on, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Just wanted to add one comment about the intensity of land and lake use around the lake. A couple of years ago, we did a survey of the number of watercraft around the lake. So it was a busy summer long weekend. Got up really early in the morning, did the north and the south basin, counted all of the watercraft on docks around the lake. And then we had other people go through all the developments and count all the different boats and watercraft in the driveways. There was over 550 watercraft. And so what we've really seen in terms of intensity is when I was a young boy out there, some of us had boats, some people had sailboats and stuff, but now there's a lot of docks that have 2, 3, and even 4 and 5 watercraft. It's unbelievable that, and what we've seen is the people that don't have the lakefront lots, they have found ways to access the land and put all kinds of docks along public land, like near the boat launch at Bondus and whatnot. So we're seeing this incredible additional pressure that is really causing disruptions within the health of the lake and causing the lake to be unsafe on certain days of the year and whatnot. So I think we have to think about the type of development that's taking, the intensity. When people are able to afford these recreational properties as well, often they bring a ton of toys with them, and most of them have a secondary trailer or a bunkhouse. So the intensity of the number of people in them on any given weekend is, it just multiplies it. So let's think about the intensity, gang. It's just not the number of lots, it's how the land in the lake is being used. And I once again, I just say, let's cap it, gang.
Thank you. Before you go, I just have one quick question. With
Yeah,
all of
please.
the work that's being done and the stewardship that's being done for the concern and the health for the lake, has an application ever gone into the province to limit motorboats on the lake?
Well, and that's a tricky question. So thank you, Tracy, for that guidance and stuff. That, because of course it's Her Majesty's waters, right? And so even if you look at different jurisdictions right now, they're trying to put in restrictions for wake surfer boats. I think the 2 jurisdictions that have been most successful are down in Minnesota and Wisconsin, by the way. They've got some pretty serious state legislation controlling them now. My sister has a lake lot in Rosen Lake, which is near Fernie. They're actually putting in bylaws now to restrict wake surfer boats on that lake. So it's coming, but it's an arduous process. And myself and a number of people at the lake are saying, what is the process to create responsible operation of watercraft. I'm not here to cancel anybody's fun. Shit, man, I like having fun out, or sorry, yeah, and my grandkids and stuff, we really, really like it, and it creates joy for us. I don't want to impede anybody else's fun, but we need to do it in a responsible fashion so that the next generation, right, can have as much joy out there as we had. And
Thank
this
you.
kind of stuff. So yeah, so it's something to look at, but boy, I'll tell you, that's a big journey that if you want to go down that one, Tracy, and you know it.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate your time. Yep, would you like to follow up?
Just for clarity, the answer is no. We've not done anything.
What's that? No,
So that's a direct question. So we haven't, because there are other lakes around that have some restrictions on them and.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of concerns. We're hearing them. But just for clarity, there has not been a request to the province to
No.
restrict. Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Counselor Chamsik would like.
Yeah, I
Hey, Kelly.
want that clarification as well. And just out of curiosity, through the chair, through the 500 watercraft, is that including canoes, SUPs and kayaks?
Yeah, no, that is just motorized. Yeah, yeah, great. Because the province actually wants to charge a fee for people for watercraft, and their definition of watercraft is anywhere from a stand-up paddleboard to a jet boat. So they have a very broad definition, but our definition for watercraft was motorized, Kelly.
Okay. Thank you. Everybody's good?
Okay, thanks, Tracy.
Yeah, just double check. Okay, thank you so very much. So I'm thinking we're coming to the end of our public hearing. Once again, one more opportunity for anyone who does not feel they've been fairly heard. Oh, there we go. If you could please state your name for the record before you begin.
Hi, I'm Carrie Sorensen. I am a full-time resident at Harnaha. We live there year-round, except for when we're holidaying. And we have been at the lake approximately 20-some years now. We were over in the Shoreline Campground for 10 years and left there. And one of my biggest concerns about this development is fire. And that there is, because I spoke to the developer, he told me there is no well going in there. There's no well in Harnaha. The fire problems that we have had 10 fires that I know of in the last 20 years that we have witnessed. I was at the campground when the first fire started. It was 2 lots over from us. Had we not been there with hoses, because every lot has water to the lot. So we were able to soak down the trees, soak down the trailers, and hold it at bay until the fire department got here and put out the trailer, which caught on fire because the owner of the campground had one of his people working on this trailer with a gas problem, and it caught on fire. And then we've had on Ovich, one of the residents' garage burnt down. The Boyle Fire Department chief, who lived across the street from us, his house had a fire in the kitchen one year, and then the next year, the whole thing burnt down to the ground. We've had a second fire over at Skeleton Lake Shoreline Campground, and that time it was the lot right beside where we'd been, and the next on our lot that we were on burnt, and numerous structures and vehicles burnt. And then we had the forest fire outside of Boyle. But 1 week before that, my husband and I were on our way in to go to pickleball in Boyle. And again, there was another fire. And this started because a tree fell down in a property where you couldn't even see where it happened, hit the power line, started a fire in there. Fire tripped the line and the grass fire started, and we saw that on the ground. So we stopped, reported that fire. That is one road in and out. And the distance between that development completely and us, if that fire started in there where they are developing so many lots, and my other problem is that yes, they're 1 acre lots, but they're long and narrow. So then I was told, because I asked the developer what they would be placing on them, they said, well, it's supposed to be a 1,200 square foot home, and it's a summer place. And yes, they'd have sewage, but no, they have no water. So they're narrow and long, and you put 1,200 square foot something in there in this narrow place, okay, go this way, and they're allowed one boat or one RV. Who is going to come and supervise that that's all that they're bringing in there? And if they bring in that RV, which is propane fed, where is the fire safety here? This is really, really scary. That that fire could have been gone straight across over to Perch Cove or Pickle Point, whatever it is over at the north side, because it was heading straight into that trees. That area is so heavily treed. Darren, I don't know his last name, the fire chief in Boyle, and I spoke, and he said that his biggest fear is that the fire goes through over towards Hope and gets into those trees. There's no stopping it once it gets that way, and they don't have the manpower. They don't get extra people to come and volunteer in the summertime and extra equipment to stop fires. And we've got a big, scary problem. And that road is gravel. Try and get all of those people out there. If something happened on a long weekend, there's twice as many people, like people parking in the ditches, people all over the roads. The access for fire to get in there or emergency people, and we have no extra. We have 2 doctors at the Silver Birch Clinic at any given time in Boyle. We have no hospital services. In the evenings at the Basca, again, my husband said he heard again that you guys won't have doctors here. So where do we have to go? All the way around Laklabish, Smoky Lake. We got a long distance to go for help. And I know from a friend personally that left Boyle because she has asthma, and she said anytime she needed the EMS, ETM, or not ETM, the emergency, you know what I'm talking about, ambulance services for herself, they're busy taking care of the people that are the residents in the Boyle seniors facility, transporting them back and forth. So they packed it up and left town because of the emergency services being so scary for them. And I phoned Silver Birch a week ago. I am a patient there, and they say they have no room for any more people. None of the doctors are taking any more people there. And I also worked in Boyle. So to tell people that, oh, it's going to help the Boyle economy is kind of a bunch of BS. People do not, coming from town, come without most of their stuff. I work at a store that is, she's trying to sell it. She's ready to be done, but it was so hard during the COVID years. It's not getting a whole lot better. The drugstore is closed now on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. It's closed. One other little drugstore is open, but it's a very tiny little drugstore. Maybe he's great at serving just the drug problem. But it's, the services are not improving because of the amount of people there. And I know I work in town. I know what it's like on a Saturday in town, because that's when she'd usually have me fill in. It's quiet.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say. It's very scary being stuck in there in the back. And the very next day after we had that fire out at not had our property, but on that road, we took our kayaks and put them down at the lake because we thought fire ever comes back towards us, it's trees. We'll have to push out to the lake. There's no, when I heard they had another emergency access somewhere, I thought, oh, they're going to put another road out. How are they doing that? There's one road in, all those people. It's very scary.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Does council have any questions or points of clarification they would like to ask? Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. All right, I think I don't see any more hands up for anybody else who would wish to speak or doesn't feel like they've been fairly heard. All righty. With that, there being no further testimony, I will close the public hearing. I further advise council cannot receive any further information on this matter. Thank you for attending the public hearing, and I declare the public hearing closed at 10:42 a.m. And if council, before we carry on to our next item on the agenda, if we could please recess for 10 minutes, that would be fantastic. Thank you. from recess. I think everybody's here. We're good to go. We're live. I just want to double check just to make sure that we do still have Counselor Cromwell and Counselor Kapitaniak online. Just because we're coming back just a few minutes early, so I just want to double check. Mr. Cromwell gave the thumbs up.
Yes, I am here.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so very much. So we will resume our special county council meeting. We're at item 4.1 of the agenda, which is bylaw 015-2025 and bylaw 016-2025. We do have a request for decision that has a recommendation, and that would be to receive the information heard at the public hearing and direct administration to work with the applicants on amendments to the area structure plan prior to second and third reading. Does anyone have a motion they would like to put forward? Please go ahead, Councillor Hall.
I would like to make the recommended motion.
Thank you. All right, is there discussion? Go ahead, please, Councillor Anderson.
Thank you. Through the chair to administration, has any fire smart assessment been completed on the current area or the proposed development?
Madam Chair, members of council, there was not a fire smart plan, but there are some, I don't want to say recommendations, what's the word I'm looking for? Some requirements within the area structure plan about fire smart practices, and that's just following the fire smart guidelines through the province, but not a plan specific to the county.
Any other questions? I don't see. I don't know if this can be answered here or not, but I'm just curious with regards to impact assessments of the lake itself. And I'm hearing that there hasn't been an impact assessment requested by by the feds, by the province, or and I might be wrong, but is that something that can be generated from the public, or does that have to be generated by a municipality? Those are the I'm not sure if that's something that can be answered here.
Madam Chair, members of council, I don't have an answer for that right now. It's something that we can certainly look into. I wanted to highlight as well that, you know, there was the biophysical assessment completed for this specific area for the area structure plan, but at the time of subdivision, certainly the applicants, the developers will be required to follow any county federal and provincial approvals from the Water Act before they can proceed with the subdivision. So that is another step, another layer that is required. But at this time, no, there's nothing from the administration for further.
Okay, thank you. I did notice as well in the report that administration is recommending that council, of course, accept this for information, which is the motion on the floor. But there are a few items that administration would like to see for changes in the area structure plan. And I know it was mentioned earlier that a few of those have been addressed. Are you able to share with us which ones have been addressed?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council. So on page 4 of the report, so the second bullet item with regards to cleaning up the environmental reserve easement and the environmental reserve or environmental reserve and the environmental reserve easement lines have been they've been fine lined a little bit more. Not as bubbly. I don't know how else to explain it. On the map, it does show on page 37, as well as at the last bullet point, the updates to the reports for the mapping to identify the exact plan area. Those have all been updated as well and have been shared with administration yesterday.
Okay, thank you so much. And I think that was pretty much all the questions that I had at this time. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you. If approved, this development would be subject to the homeowners association bylaw, correct?
Correct. For the proposed Skeleton Lake area structure plan, that is what one of the requirements that they're they're proposing, the developers are proposing is that the landowners enter into I think it's an agreement, sorry, Ryan, if I don't want to speak out of term, but they will have to follow the home association bylaw. Homeowners is a restrictive covenant. Thank you. So it'd be placed as a caveat on each title, and it is the responsibility of each titled landowner to follow that bylaw. And it is enforced between the landowner and the developer.
Okay, and have we seen a copy of that bylaw?
I have not.
Would like to see a copy of the bylaw?
Absolutely. Yeah, if possible, please. Thank you. Is there any follow-up, Counselor? Okay, Counselor Hall, did you have any?
I think, I mean, I'll speak in favor of the recommended motion, which is to accept the information and to allow administration to work with the developer to make some improvements that will will satisfy the needs of the administration. I think we've heard, I mean, upfront, I want to say, because council doesn't make the decision that everybody agrees with, does not mean we didn't hear. I mean, that's one of the things that kind of drives me crazy. It's such a load of garbage. Somebody's going to like the decision and somebody's not. Not doing what someone wants does not mean they didn't get heard. It just means we've, weighed all the facts and made what we believe is the best decision. And so for me, I think having some more time for admin to work with the developer and also to reflect on, the huge volume of information that's come to us, some of which has come very late in terms of timing. And then to think about the things we've heard today, I think is important. And so I think bringing it in this way allows us a little bit more time to think about our decision. And I know for me, I mean, this has nothing to do with the statements around tax revenue. I think that's again, I completely reject that idea. There are many things there that are out of scope for the county, and I think they warrant some additional thought and consideration. In the nearly 4 years, I've had the privilege of sitting here, not once seen or heard from our neighbors at the summer villages on a request to work together to improve the health of the lake itself. All we hear is objections to new development in the county, and while they continue to approve development permits and expansions. So I think there's work for us to do with our neighbors and to make commitments around the health of the lake. And so in summary, I would urge you to support the recommended motion so that council has the time to reflect on what we've heard, and also for administration to continue to work with the developer to move this along to an outcome that hopefully satisfies some, more people.
Thank you. I did have one question that popped up as well. The bylaw that was mentioned, bylaw 5-2002, I'm assuming that has been repealed.
Correct, Madam Chair, members of council.
Okay, thank you. Just for confirmation there. Go ahead, please, Councillor Anderson.
Would it be possible to see a copy of that repealed bylaw, just so we have it for information to see what it was originally?
Yeah, we can send you a copy of it.
Okay. Alrighty, I'm just madly going through all my notes. I know so many of the questions that I had have already been answered. Just double checking here. I don't know if anybody else has anything. I know my questions have been answered. Go ahead, please.
Sorry, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of council. So our recommendation was to hold off on giving second and third reading, but obviously council has the ability to do that. But administration, in addition to the 4 bullet points that we had mentioned on page 4, just kind of opening the table if there is anything that we missed that council may have noticed, or through today's public hearing that we heard of that council would like for us to work with the consultants and the landowner with.
I mean, I have some concerns around access to the environmental reserves, and if they're needing to be enforced, is there will there be some, how do you get in there, and should there not be some other kind of right of way, I guess is one of them. And I'm really, everything on the south leg of the western portion, I'm not, at this moment, feeling really supportive of a large private lot that contains a bunch of municipal or environmental reserve. I'm not sure that that's wise, and really don't know why that wouldn't be just rolled over to a municipal reserve, and create some lots, because what we've seen, I think, over time is that somebody made the comment, there's creep. You have a little bit of reserve and access to the reserve, and next thing you know, your yard creeps from being the part you're allowed to use into a fire pit against, farther and farther and farther. And I'm not in favor of using the public utility right of way, the ditch, to access that other part. I don't think that's a sensible approach, because then it creates an obligation, or does it create an obligation perhaps on the county to maintain that ditch so that people can get down to access those pieces of land up right near the lake. So I think in permitting those to get rezoned into a residential classification and available for use, you're just asking for trouble and conflict, and for the reserves that are in there, the environmental or municipal or environmental reserves, to be not respected. So I think there's some work needs to happen on that.
Thank you. With regards to environmental reserves, I realize that there's no development to happen on them. They're there to, maintain that buffer zone to help with a bit of that health that's going into the waterway. But it doesn't restrict public access. Is that accurate?
Madam Chair, members of council. So yes, you're right. The purpose of the environmental reserve is to protect and preserve our sensitive areas. But they are also there to provide foot access to lakes and water bodies and wetlands. So there is a possibility to have like foot traffic on an environmental reserve, but not like a trail or a development, as you say.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that. Go ahead. Oh, Councillor Anderson and Councillor Hall.
Sorry, so when you speak about that, does that mean that residents would not be able to get a permit to put a dock or something adjacent to environmental reserve? Like, if there ever was one installed, that would not be a permitted.
So those are done through a TFA, I can't remember the acronym, but there is an approval through the province. They require the counties, usually a letter of support, allowing that, limited access to, yes, we can take the boat launch or the watercraft down to the lake and then back up, and then that's it. So there is, there are approvals required from the province for that to cross over environmental reserve.
You're okay? Call it, Councillor Hall.
So does this utility access, given that I think that's more of a muskeg, is it, number one, necessary from admin's point of view to go right to the lake? Is it not something that can just drain into the muskeg and stop, which then becomes the filter for things going through? And that might be out of scope for us, so I don't know. I'll look to you to put the brakes on that. I just wonder if that ditch just becomes the highway for boats to get to the lake. And so there's nothing about that structure that makes sense to me, and you can say it's foot access, but experience tells us that it becomes more than foot access. And so if we take seriously the protection of the lake and how we manage access and all of those things, I think that there's some more questions there. But I don't want to convey the impression that I'm anti-development. I think, it's not up to us to analyze as council whether there's demand for this product. That's the developer's job to decide, do they believe there's sufficient market demand to invest in making these lots? In some ways you can see they are similar in size to the adjacent stuff, so it conforms to the use in the region. there's a lot of good things that are possible. It's just making sure it's set up properly.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else? Please go ahead, Deputy Reed Mins.
I guess that drainage pattern coming off of, what is that, phase 3? Coming down through the environmental reserve and that's a drainage easement running through there, that straight line going right down to the lake?
Through the chair, Deputy Mayor Lynn, or Deputy Reeves, sorry, Mins, so on page 36, I believe is what we're looking at.
I don't even know.
The green outfall, so that is proposed as a new outfall in phase 3 to allow for drainage. But part of the applicant's area structure plan that they submitted is it's also going to be a public utility lot. So to help service that outfall, and it would have also provided that drainage for that phase.
Okay, and then right at the bottom there, just before the lake or that buffer, there, is that another lot right there? That's where it drains. What's that?
Those are the ones I was talking about. It's 2 small lots that apparently are too small to develop on, but they want them zoned CR. Not lots, it's portions of the lot.
Yeah, I don't quite understand that. I don't quite understand why that's there. Like why it wouldn't be just environmental reserve right through. We have an easement that the water goes through and if we have to get in there or someone has to get in there and clean the easement out or some darn thing, I don't understand what them 2 little lots are down there.
So through the chair, members of council, so those 2 privately owned parcels are connected to, if you just move up on the map, to the 2 country residential lots to the north of them. So it would essentially be part of those lots with environmental reserve in between. And the intentions of them through the developer was to allow for the sort of a lakefront or a lake view type of parcel. But administration had recommended, and that's on page 4, that those just be put as environmental reserve and not privately owned. So the lots would then end at the northern part of that environmental reserve buffer.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I totally agree with that too, because we don't need a lot down there. That's just causing could cause more issues than that, but we do need easements to be able to go in there and I've worked in this area. I know what water drainage is like in there. We do need the easements for sure.
Thank you. I will agree. I don't see the need for these lots down here, and I appreciate administration working towards that concern. I think my only concern left that I have is, of course, emergency routes, for sure. Those are always a concern, and as we heard today, it's an emotional concern as well. Creates quite a lot of anxiety, and proper planning, proper emergency routes, for me are also extremely important. I do have great faith in our wonderful volunteers and departments who respond, and they do a great job. We have had some pretty scary incidences this year, and we can attest that our departments and our chiefs and our administration do a bang-up job to limit any kind of damage. So I just want to shout out to our departments so that people that are listening this morning can understand that we do have very good response here. With that, folks, I believe we have a motion on the floor. If there's no further conversation or discussion with regards to it. And that motion is that Councillor Hall would like to receive the information heard at the public hearing and direct administration to work with the applicants on amendments to the area structure plan prior to 2nd and 3rd reading. If we are ready for that vote. See no other hands or comments. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Councillor Cromwell,
Opposed, please.
opposed, so we have 6 and 1. And with that, I believe, with no further business to discuss, we can adjourn our meeting at 11:10 a.m. Thank you all for being here.